Welcome to episode 194 of the weekly Shared Security Show. And joining me this week is the two security champions of the world, co-hosts Scott Wright and Kevin Johnson.
Nice.
That was my champion look.
Nice.
Yes. You need like wrestling belts, like, you know.
We're busy making something else right now that I think is going to be awesome. We're making professionally evil
T-shirts.
cubicle weaponry, like catapults and trebuchets. So here's the question. If you were given a professionally evil trebuchet, you need targets because while we all know you're going to shoot your cubicle mate, we don't want to encourage
Shoot your eye out, kids.
Shoot your eye out, kids. Yeah. So here's my question. Would it be better to have targets that say things like API and SQL injection on them, or targets are like John Strand's face, Tim Medine's face, Tom's face, like, right? I get a picture of each of you.
Why can't you have both?
Yeah,
because I really want to get a target of Scott Wright that people can shoot catapults at.
That's what I'm saying. You could have Tom and me, and you could have APIs and SQL injection.
Okay. So I'm giving. I'll do that. I do that. So I'm going to be shooting at all you guys. Just letting you know right now.
Now Kevin.
Here's the initial catapult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I use Nerf darts?
Ooh, we'll have to redesign the arm to hold the Nerf dart.
Because I have a good track record of shooting certain people with Nerf darts.
That was not a Nerf dart you got me right between the eyes with. It was one of those Nerf rockets.
It was a rubber band rocket. So I'm just calling it Nerf, but yeah. It's Nerfy. Yeah.
And Tom Liston will share that on Twitter, the GIF of it.
I bring it up like every fifth episode or something.
Yeah. I've tried, like when organizations say, hey, speaking at our event, please send us a headshot. I always think about that as the headshot. But
it's a great
headshot. I don't want
headshot.
Animated graphics for headshots. I don't know why.
No. So,
nice.
So we got a great episode here, and I wanted to start things off with Scott. Scott has a topic. We're talking about it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, right? Everyone knows that. It's October. So, Scott, we want to talk about how to become a security champion.
Yeah, it's like my show and tell. So, yeah. So I had this idea because a number of people have come to me and I've seen posts and things from people. How do I get more into security? How can I learn about security? And they're not necessarily technical. They're not necessarily wanting a career in security. They just want to, they can see, like a lot of people can't, but they can see that there are, continuous attacks on their organization. And they think maybe the business should have more people thinking about security, right? And despite your security awareness training that happens, how often? Once a year or whatever, they think maybe somebody should be thinking about it more often. And I think that's applaudable, or whatever you want to call it. So I put this idea together as a webinar, and it's basically called the Cybersecurity Champions Career Roadmap. And it's not like a plan, like here's what you have to do. It's a map, like here's where you could go and what you might be able to do if you do this. And I put it in a little bit of a sequence. So I've got the webinar. I'll give Tom the URL to get the recording of it once it's up. Just did it actually about an hour ago. So it was a lot of fun and good questions and participation, about 30, 40 people. And so that was fun. But it was really just sort of highlighting areas like using stories, right? If you can collect as many stories and anecdotes and case studies around cybersecurity, then you have a little bit of a, repertoire of things. And if somebody mentions something that happened, or are we at risk of whatever, and you can sort of tie that to an anecdote or a story that and you say, yeah, this is kind of what could happen, right? And then you don't have to know anything at that point about the analysis or the technology. But beyond that, once you've got that ability to collect the stories, you can actually do a bit of risk analysis. And this comes from my background, where I use a formula: risk equals asset value times threat value times vulnerability value, right? It's just very simple. And it's not so much teaching people how to evaluate these things. It's just, does the story have a threat actor? Does the story have an asset value? And does it have a vulnerability that we can talk about? And if those are the things that we can talk about, which one's most important, and how do we use that to teach people? And once they have that set of skills along with their knowledge of anecdotes, we can actually teach them more stuff about how to become more of a change agent within their organization. I'm not going to give away the spoilers, but that's kind of what I covered in a 40, 50-minute
Nice
episode.
Awesome.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, and it just reminds me of just the what's going on in the industry of like we're always promoting security champions, right?
Yeah.
From every angle. And so I like your take on that.
Yeah, one of the things I said is you need to start networking too, and you can connect with security people who know stuff that you don't. And in my experience, most security professionals are extremely eager to help people if they reach out.
Security professionals are extremely helpful. There are lots of people out there that are not.
If they don't respond, you don't deserve to connect with them.
Yeah. I'm really glad you called them champions, not evangelists, because that's a term I always.
I'm sure there are some people who would object to me calling them champions for some reason, but that's fine.
Well, those people are wrong. Every single time I hear somebody say I'm a security evangelist, I always want to ask them, and have quite often, like, how many security martyrs do you know? And, just checking. I was.
Yeah.
Champions just sounds so positive and perhaps a bit gamified. I don't know,
a little bit.
And the thing I like, totally. And you have no skin in that.
No skin in that game, no.
I think security champion makes sense, right? Because one, it is positive. Two, it is right. They're. When we have champions and everything else that we have champions in, we push them forward. We look up to them. We try to emulate them. Right? And I think every bit of that makes the most sense.
Cool. Well, we'll share the link and people can access it.
We will have that in the show notes. Awesome. So where were you guys during the great Facebook outage? Do you remember what you were doing? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was getting frustrated that my wireless connection wasn't working because obviously it wouldn't be Facebook that was down. It had to be my internet. So here's the really funny part about it is we actually have a ticket with our office internet provider because right around the same time we were having problems.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
And it turned out they had a misconfiguration on their end and they fixed it.
Uh-huh.
But the minute I read Cloudflare's blog where they're like, we were troubleshooting our stuff, I thought to myself, damn it, we were too.
Yeah.
I didn't discover it until after dinner, and somebody said, "So did you hear that Facebook went down?" Oh, really?
Oh, really? Huh?
It's just 6 hours.
That's how connected I am to the world.
Yeah, and of course, we'll have links in the show notes. I mean, it's most people know kind of what happened. Obviously, it was interesting for a lot of people because, the DNS records and, it looked like Facebook was literally like wiped off the face of the internet because, it was funny, like people posting screenshots of like facebook.com for sale, right? Because obviously when a domain goes away, the automated systems automatically pick up that, this domain must be for sale.
I wonder how many phishing scams actually made money off that.
And that is actually an interesting point because that's something that like Rachel Toback, I saw her tweet when this all happened because, everyone just went to Twitter. And so there was some comedy around, hey, welcome everyone from Facebook, including Facebook and Instagram themselves were tweeting about the incident on their channels within Twitter. But she had said, be on the lookout for phishing scams, social engineering attacks, leveraging the fact that Facebook is down. I mean, it's just think about that. Like how many people would fall for something.
Doesn't take
like
long
that.
for them to come up with a pretext. Yeah.
No, not at all. And considering, and the other piece I thought was interesting was that surprisingly, people really depend on Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp for their core communication. Like not just friends and family, but we're talking about businesses. We're talking about economy. I mean,
I was reading stuff about, outside of the US, many cell phone providers have tied WhatsApp to instead of SMS, they're pushing people to use WhatsApp, and that went down. So
Jeez.
communication went down.
Yeah.
The thing that I found the most interesting, I did get a kick out of the Facebook's down, quick, get your aunts and uncles vaccinated. But the thing that I found the most interesting was the other impacts, right? So websites that use Facebook as an authentication option, even if you're not using it,
Oh yeah,
that's
took
huge.
longer to respond and do things because of that. The same thing with you know I'm losing my train of thought. I'm sorry. DNS servers that like many of the cell phone providers had problems with their cell service provider, not the phone, but the service provider had problems with DNS because so many of the, in my opinion, crap they put on your phone ties to Facebook, right? And so all of a sudden, T-Mobile's DNS is having trouble, which, as we all know, thanks to the, Dan Kaminsky, DNS is everything. And that those types of impacts that, I'll be blunt, it never crossed my mind what would happen if Facebook stopped routing, right? Okay, well,
or
Facebook
stopped
will go down, right?
authenticating third parties.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do my supernatural Oculus exercise, so I'm fat, so maybe I'm not the best model for it, but it's a great exercise thing, and I love it and couldn't do it. So I got an off day, I guess. But those other things surprised me. That and it embarrasses me. It surprised me because it shouldn't have. That I should have thought about that. But your phone trying over and over and over again to resolve a DNS name, that the DNS servers have been routed off the internet. Not the right way to say it, but
so that's it's cool discussion about the impacts and that we may or may not have anticipated. In light of my webinar that I just finished about being a cybersecurity champion, I'd like to sort of dig in. Okay, what do we know about what actually caused this thing, right? So we know there's evidence that the border gateway protocol infrastructure basically was deleted or corrupted or something.
Yeah, but the route announcements were removed.
Yeah. So what do we think might have caused that? What could have been the threat actor?
Oh, we know what happened. Let me rephrase that. I say we know, right? Everything tells us that what Facebook has said sounds accurate. They rolled out years ago. There was actually press releases about it and everything else where they had rolled out their own BGP implementation. BGP being the border gateway, right? That doesn't sound right. Border gateway protocol?
Yeah.
I don't know why it doesn't sound right coming out.
Sometimes that happens,
it happens to me a lot because I'm an idiot. But they rolled it out, and they rolled it out on the idea of, and I want to be clear, I'm not bashing any of this. I think this stuff is
no, we're definitely not either. Yeah.
Right. Infrastructure as code, right? And that idea, and let's be very blunt, as a system admin for years, as a crappy developer for years, infrastructure as code is an interesting idea to me, that we have config files that just create infrastructure, and we have interfaces where you're the developer and you're building something and you can just spin things up. Facebook embraced that, publicly embraced it, and they talked about how they were building stuff that people could push changes and it would just be there and everything would work. And somebody pushed a change they shouldn't have pushed, right? Like, it's plain and simple. I don't know about you, but I can't tell you the number of times I've been like, oh yeah, this won't affect anything.
Yep. Right? Check. No risks. Yeah, let's just do it.
I still remember an issue I had when I worked at Blue that we were the WebSphere admins. We pushed a change to the load balancing web server, and it was a change that would have zero impact, no impact. So we pushed it, and of course, we had a change ticket because we would never do it without we didn't have a change ticket. And we were like, this quick, this will make things better. We'll push it. We pushed it. A couple hours later, we started getting reports there was this problem with applications. And we're like, oh man, I wonder if that was that thing we pushed. And so we unpushed it and asked, hey guys, you guys still seeing the problem? And people are like, oh yeah, we're still seeing it. Well, it turned out they weren't. They were wrong. And so we decided that the change we had done was one we wanted, so we pushed it back. We were down for a couple weeks.
Wow.
They actually hired Blue Cross. They hired IBM to bring special consultants to come in and help us troubleshoot this. And
that's funny.
My understanding is it cost a lot of money. And at one point in the meeting, they're like, "Hey, what is this setting right here, and why was it changed?" And it's like, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
So the threat agent was accidental.
It was Kevin.
It was Kevin, yeah.
So from what we're hearing, everything about that makes sense. And I know I've heard the conspiracy theory. Oh, there was a whistleblower, and the whistleblower was in the news, and so they took it down to push that away. And I'm like, no, I don't think that
it was just ironic.
Yeah, timing was bad. This to me has every bit, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm not working there. I'm not, but I've been the guy that pushed that change. And
me too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Maybe not this bad, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that if you haven't broken production, you're not trying.
Oh man, did I ever tell you guys the story when I was a co-op student and I accidentally knocked over 3 VAX VMS software systems? Oh yeah. So I was actually working the night shift, like 4 to midnight, and one of my tasks was to update the sys.config or whatever it was for the VAX systems. And there was 2 kinds of system configuration files. One of them was one you could copy everywhere because they all had the same parameters. And a different one was unique to each computer. And I got them mixed up. And I did this change and I just pushed it to all the computers. And of course, it was like midnight. Nobody was using that, or rarely. And then I woke up in the morning and I thought, I wonder if I did that right. And so I got in the office the next day. I go straight to my boss's desk. I said, I think I might have screwed up last night. He says, I'm glad you told me that because, everybody came in and they thought they were all on the fastest VAX.
Oh, man. Yeah, I set up one. I did a mailing list. I was setting up a listserv for a company, and it was a weird company. The owners of the company would walk through the building and at the end of the day, and you couldn't be there without an owner in the building. It was stupid. And I made the config, did everything, set it up. I subscribed myself to the mailing list and my boss, of course, because, and I sent an email to the mailing list and I got the email back and I'm like, yes, this is awesome. It works. And at that point, I had the owner of the company standing at my cubicle like, Kevin, you almost done? 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 I'm like, yes, I got it. And I stood up, locked my machine, got up and walked out. The next morning, the entire company was at a standstill because the Exchange server, which the Exchange server had like all the shared groups and everything that they were a publishing company and they used Exchange for everything. And it was because my mailbox and my boss's mailbox had, I want to say it was around 20 million messages. Because remember how I said I subscribed to myself and my boss to the mailing list?
Yeah.
Somehow I also subscribed the mailing list to the mailing list. I don't know how I did this. Like you had
awesome.
Listserv wouldn't do that, and somehow I got Listserv to do it. And so the first message went, and I got it back, and then that message came again, and again, and again, and again, and it just. Let me just be very clear that Exchange ran very, very rapidly for a short period of time. It was nice. It was bad. It was really bad.
War stories. Awesome.
Mistakes. This one was a mistake. It was a mistake that was very visible. I'm waiting for the congressional discussion about it because we always have to beat up on social media at Congress or something.
Yeah. It's funny in the article that Tom links to in this episode. There's that little comment that I caught that just says, "Or maybe somebody just screwed up at Facebook."
Yeah, maybe
humans make mistakes. Yeah, that's right.
So and computers let us make them faster.
Oh yeah,
and worse. Yeah, they do. They do. Are you looking for the very best products to protect your digital privacy? Well, Silent Pocket has everything you need with their patented product line of high-quality Faraday bags, backpacks, clutches, and wallets. Visit silentpocket.com today and receive 10% off your order by using discount code SHAREDSECURITY.
You want your organization to be secure and compliant and to have a healthy culture. But your employees' lack of awareness makes you vulnerable to data theft, fraud, and compliance penalties. It's frustrating that the boring, static training content that's being used today has failed to improve employees' ability to defend against cyber attacks. At ClickArmor, we know that without using gamification, it's extremely hard to get staff to understand how to avoid threats. Our gamified simulations and challenges have provided a 50% average improvement in thousands of employees' ability to spot phishing threats. Go to clickarmor.ca/sharedsecurity to get your free gamified phishing assessment for up to 500 employees. You'll see quickly how gamified simulations can help your team be more resilient and compliant and help avoid costly ransomware and fraud incidents. Let ClickArmor help you go from being an underappreciated, stressed out fall guy to being an innovative leader who's the catalyst for greater productivity in your organization.
So there was another big piece of news this week. What a week, huh? Jeez.
Yeah.
So Twitch, which, the largest video game streaming service, I think in the world, actually, especially since they're owned by Amazon.
Yeah.
They had a massive breach where I think it was 125 gigabytes of data and source code of the entire Twitch product, and like the entire, like, going back to when Twitch first started, like source code going all the way back, and even source code of new products that apparently, Amazon's working on a competitor to Steam, which hasn't been released yet. All the source code for that, and then all of their payouts to all of their creators that are in the network. Which I was like surprised, like I'm in the wrong job. Like I see these payouts, I'm like, how much did you make since 2019? We're talking millions of dollars. Okay.
Yeah. I saw a couple of those numbers and that blew my mind. And I don't know anybody wants to watch me play video games because I love playing them, but I suck.
Yeah.
And this one is interesting. I think this goes back to the same thing. People make mistakes, companies screw up, things get out there. One of the questions I got, Corey, one of my guys, he's a consultant here. He's really into games, building games, making games. Yeah, I mean, he likes playing them too. And he asked, okay, the source code's out there, right? And there is a bug bounty program for Twitch. So can you use the source code to find bugs and report them and get paid out? And is that ethical? And I'd like to hear opinions, but in my head, the way I think about it is, my ethics, it is ethical to look at the source code to see if you can find bugs to submit for bug bounties. As long as you're not the person who broke in and stole it, right? Now, but there's a second question, and that is legality, right? Because my understanding, and let's pick on a company I like, Veracode.
Right? I was gonna say.
No, and that wasn't sarcasm. I actually like Veracode. I do.
I know.
I mean, they're better than checkmarks, but that doesn't set the bar very high because checkmark sucks. But my memory of the terms of service for Veracode's scanner is you can't take that code that you don't have permission to see or anything else like that was stolen and upload it to Veracode and have them scan it for you. Like so there's rules against doing stuff like that. Like, and I don't know of any of the scanners that don't require you to somehow attest that you have the permission to do this with the code, and you wouldn't. Twitch has not done a blanket permission. But there's also the question of, okay, this source code was stolen. So is that not possession of a stolen property?
That's what I was just going to say. Like, would it not apply the same thing with like something stolen, like a TV or anything else? Like, if you use that property for anything.
I think we have a wiggle room there. And wiggle room's the wrong word. I think we have a shaky conversation that I've had many times, and people get irritated when I have it. Don't you use password lists for your password spraying?
That's stolen property.
Stolen property. Just because you got it from sec lists off of GitHub doesn't make it not stolen property, right?
It's a database that was stolen.
Troy Hunt does this all the time. He releases a service that tells you, and he has possession of stolen property. Now, I'm not arguing that Troy shouldn't do that, but where does that fall in? And I think the source code falls into the same.
But source code is considered proprietary intellectual property.
Yeah, but you know what? I actually did an article recently with the president of a local IP strategy company called Stratford Managers, and we actually discussed this. It was around the EA breach recently, right? That happened in June or July. And if it gets stolen and is made public, it is public. It is no longer a secret or in the eyes of IP lawyers. So it doesn't seem fair, but that actually
no,
is.
No, it doesn't, but that does. That's interesting.
Yeah. And the other interesting question that comes to my mind might be even more interesting issue is, so let's say Twitch decides, okay, can we suspend our bug bounty?
Well, I would argue even if they don't suspend their bug bounty, I could see them saying, okay, you're pointing at source code that was stolen.
We know it was stolen.
We're not going to pay you for the. I mean, like, we're not going to sue you or get you arrested or anything else like that. But we're not going to pay out a bounty because you use stolen property. Now, I'm not saying they should do that, because I can see significant badness with that.
But if you were a manager at Twitch, you would say, let's suspend the bug bounty because we know that there's potentially a chance of greater claims and stuff like that, right? Then the question becomes, well, all the people that were working on bugs and spent thousands of dollars on tools and time, what happens to them? Well, too bad.
I think suspending the bug bounty would be dumb, personally. And the reason I would say that is, it's kind of like, and I can't believe I'm about to say this because I have my own special dislike of bug bounties, but it's kind of like how Circuit City laid off their best salespeople because they were paying them too high of a commission amount.
For being successful.
Amount, right? And it's like, wait, let me get this right. You took your best salespeople and decided, oh man, it's way too expensive to pay them that percentage of what they sell, so let's fire them. And you thought there was going to be any goodness that came out of that?
Well, yeah, but that's also like the stories. I can't remember which organization or which company it was, but they basically fired some percentage of their security staff because their security breach count had gone down.
Yeah. Well, companies do it all the time, right? Hire somebody quick. We just got hacked. You hire them. Hey, it's been a year. We haven't been hacked again. We don't need you. Yeah. It's like, so I think that suspending it would be dumb. I personally, I think that I'd like to know. I'd like a lawyer to say, and only 2 of my Facebook profiles pretend to be lawyers. But of course, I can't get access to those because it's down. Wait, no, it's back up. And it's one of those things where I think it's bad. I'd love to hear how the person got in. I've not seen any.
It was a server configuration issue, but we don't know the details.
Yeah, that's
all they're saying.
That's so vague. I hate to say it. Was it an S3 bucket? No, I doubt it in this case because of how big.
It was DNS, Kevin.
DNS.
It's always DNS.
No, it was BGP. And that was the one I got a kick out of. Was it Brian Krebs? Like, well, obviously DNS is down. It's like, no, dude, it's way bigger than DNS.
Yeah, it's pretty big. That's an interesting one.
Go dock somebody else. But
if DNS isn't down and you can't get anywhere, like, what do you do? I don't know.
So the Twitch one is interesting. What I'm really interested in is what it will mean. Like, and I've seen the people who are getting payouts. Twitch has their banking accounts. Like, they have information about how to get them the money. Like, how are those? Like, I've got some people I know. We've actually got some staff members who stream. we immediately reached out to them and said, hey guys, you need to go check this, right? Like, go make sure you have really strong authentication on your bank accounts and everything else like that, which you should do already. But yeah, the Twitch one was big. It was interesting.
And I'm just interesting to me to see, like, I'm seeing more breaches where source code is being released, not passwords, but more of these types of breaches focused on source code. Just, it's a little fascinating to me. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's a trend or anything, but just, it's interesting. So with that, I think we've covered the, maybe we'll call this episode the server misconfiguration episode, because that was all the news this week, except for security champions, of course. But
I got a kick out of that. This isn't Cyber Awareness Month, it's Breach Awareness Month.
Breach Awareness Month,
right? Yeah.
I don't know who said that on Twitter, but I laughed.
Bam.
Yeah, exactly. But till next time, guys, great having you on again, and we'll talk to everyone next week. That's all for this week's show. Be sure to follow the Shared Security Show on Twitter and Instagram for the latest news and show updates. If you like this episode, please hit that like and subscribe button, and please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast listening app. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Shared Security Show.